Pain is power. A speech in the style of Marcus Aurelius. What is pain, if not the chisel that sculpts the soul? Men flee from it, curse it, shrink beneath its weight. Oh, but does not the athlete grow stronger through toil? Does not the iron, when placed in the fire, emerge tempered? We are not here to seek comfort, nor to curse fate for what befalls us. We are here to be made worthy of the task assigned to us by nature. You suffer good. That means you have been given the opportunity to endure. You feel loss, then you have been shown how deeply you cared. You are betrayed, then you have been taught whom not to trust. At every turn, pain offers you a choice, to recoil and weaken, or to stand firm and become unbreakable. Which man will you be? Remember this: no misfortune can truly harm you unless you surrender your reason to it. The mind remains sovereign over all it encounters. The body may be wounded, but the soul, if disciplined, remains untouched. If you find yourself in hardship, do not ask, "Why has this happened to me?" but instead, "How shall I use this?" What obstacle is placed before you that does not contain within it the seed of your advancement? The wise man does not curse the storm, he strengthens his ship. He does not weep at winter's cold, but girds himself against it. Pain is not an enemy, it is a tutor. It is the whetstone that sharpens the blade, the fire that purifies the gold. To flee it is to flee growth. So, stand as nature made you, upright, unshaken. Let pain do its work, and let it find you unwilling to bow. What is power if not the refusal to be mastered by suffering? What is greatness if not the ability to take what others see as misfortune and turn it into strength? This is the task before you. Accept it gladly, and be made greater by the weight you bear. Pain is the chisel that sculpts the soul. It is not a curse, nor a punishment, but a force of refinement. The weak man recoils from it, fearing its weight, but the wise man welcomes it, knowing that through hardship he is shaped into something greater. Just as the sculptor removes excess stone to reveal the form within, pain strips away illusion, pride, and weakness, leaving behind only what is essential. To live is to suffer. No man escapes the trials of existence, yet the difference between ruin and strength lies in how one receives pain. Some see it as an affliction, something to be avoided at all costs. But the Stoic knows better. Pain is the furnace that tempers the steel of the spirit. It is through difficulty that endurance is forged, through suffering that wisdom is gained. The athlete does not grow strong by resting but by subjecting himself to strain. The mind, like the body, is strengthened by resistance. To reject pain is to reject growth. To cling to ease is to choose weakness. A man's character is not revealed in comfort but in adversity. The storm does not create the sailor's skill, it merely tests it. Pain is the storm of the soul. It comes to all, yet few will allow themselves to be strengthened by it. Many curse their hardships, believing them to be unjust. But what is more just than the law of nature, which makes all things better through trial? The tree that grows in soft soil and gentle weather is weak, its roots are shallow, its trunk fragile. But the tree that stands against harsh winds and unyielding ground grows strong, its roots digging deep, its foundation unshakable. Pain does not ask permission, it arrives unbidden, yet within it lies power, if one has the will to seize it. The fool rages against suffering, demanding that the world be different. The wise man bends to what is, not what he wishes to be. He does not demand that the fire be extinguished. He steps into it willingly, knowing that it burns away impurity. It is not pain itself that harms, but the fear of it. It is not suffering that weakens, but the refusal to learn from it. A man who understands this does not complain when hardship comes, he welcomes it as a teacher. To control one's mind in suffering is the highest form of mastery. The body may break, fortune may turn, all that was once certain may collapse into ruin, but the mind remains free. No external force can take this power unless it is surrendered willingly. Pain is inevitable, but whether it is endured with dignity or allowed to crush the soul is a choice. It is in this choice that strength is found, for no man is weak who refuses to be broken. Let pain do its work, and let it find you standing, unmoved. No misfortune can harm you unless you surrender your reason to it. The mind alone decides what is suffering and what is merely an event in the course of nature. The wise man understands that pain is not the enemy, nor is hardship a force of destruction. It is the interpretation of these things that grants them power. If one believes suffering to be unbearable, then it will be so. If one sees hardship as ruin, then ruin will follow. But if one stands firm, unshaken by external blows, then no misfortune can truly wound him. Pain is a sensation, an experience, nothing more. It is neither good nor bad until the mind assigns it meaning. The Stoic does not ask whether suffering is fair or unfair, he asks only what can be done with it. He does not weep over misfortune, nor does he curse the heavens for what has befallen him. Instead, he remains steady, governing his thoughts as a ruler governs a city. He does not surrender control of his reason to fleeting emotions, nor does he allow external events to dictate his inner state. Pain may test the body, but it cannot shake the mind that refuses to submit. A man loses all that he owns. Does this make him a lesser man? Only if he believes his worth depended on possessions. A soldier is wounded in battle. Does this make him powerless? Only if he thinks strength lies in the body alone. Fortune turns, friends betray, suffering arrives unannounced. But none of these things hold any power unless the mind grants them dominion. The one who understands this remains unshaken, for he knows that all external misfortunes are powerless against an unyielding will. It is not events that disturb a man, but his judgment of them. What one man sees as unbearable, another endures with ease. What one considers a curse, another recognizes as an opportunity for growth. The Stoic knows that hardship is a law of life, and he does not resist it. He does not demand that the world be free of pain, nor does he beg for an easier path. Instead, he strengthens himself for whatever may come, knowing that his reason is his greatest fortress. As long as he governs his thoughts, no misfortune can conquer him. A ship caught in a storm does not dictate the sailor's fate. It is his skill, his resolve, his ability to navigate the waves that determine whether he reaches the shore. So it is with pain. The storm will come, suffering will arrive, but the one who remains master of his reason will endure. The mind, when disciplined, is stronger than any hardship. No suffering can touch the man who refuses to let it. Misfortune holds no true power. It is the yielding to it that weakens. The wise man does not surrender. He does not allow external events to dictate his peace. He remains unmoved, above the storm. Every hardship contains the seed of your advancement. The mind that understands this does not resist suffering but seeks to use it. To the ordinary man, misfortune appears as an obstacle, an unjust burden placed upon him by fate. But to the Stoic, every difficulty is an opportunity to become greater than he was before. There is no loss that does not teach endurance, no betrayal that does not reveal wisdom, no pain that does not strengthen the soul if one chooses to see it as such. Nature does not design hardship to destroy, but to refine. The fire does not burn gold to ruin it, but to purify it. The weight placed upon the athlete is not meant to crush him, but to strengthen his body. Likewise, the difficulties of life are not punishments, but instruments of growth. The weak man sees only the suffering and falls into despair. The wise man looks deeper and finds the lesson, the hidden strength that pain reveals. He knows that what seems a curse today may prove a blessing in time. Hardship strips away illusion. It forces a man to confront what is truly within him. When all is easy, when life is smooth, he may believe himself strong, wise, prepared for anything, but only in difficulty does he see himself clearly. When faced with loss, he learns what he truly values. When confronted with pain, he discovers the limits of his endurance and how far those limits may be pushed. Hardship forces him to cultivate patience, resilience, and discipline. It shows him where he is weak, so that he may strengthen himself. No great man has risen without hardship. No empire has been built without struggle. No warrior has become strong without battle. Those who seek an easy life seek a life without growth. The path of least resistance leads nowhere worth going. It is through adversity that true character is formed, through difficulty that wisdom is gained. The Stoic does not ask for an easier road, but for the strength to walk the one before him. He does not shrink from pain, for he knows that within him lies his advancement. The man who understands this does not waste time lamenting his struggles. He does not dwell on what has been lost, nor does he curse the hardships he faces. Instead, he asks, how can this make me stronger? What lesson lies within this suffering? He does not resist what is, but accepts it. knowing that everything he endures is shaping him into something greater. He does not wish for comfort, but for mastery over himself. Pain is not the enemy, it is the teacher, the force that refines, the fire that hardens the steel of the soul. To resist it is to resist growth. To embrace it is to become powerful. Every hardship is an opportunity. Every trial is a chance to rise. The man who understands this fears nothing, for he knows that whatever comes, it comes to make him better. The wise man does not curse the storm, he strengthens his ship. The weak man looks at hardship and complains, believing he has been treated unfairly. He wastes his energy cursing fate, hoping for an easier path, but this does nothing to change his condition. The wise man, however, understands that storms are inevitable. He does not waste time wishing they would pass. Instead, he prepares himself to endure them. He does not ask for the world to change, but for the strength to face whatever comes. Pain and difficulty are not obstacles to life, they are part of life itself. To expect otherwise is to be naive, to believe that existence should be free from struggle. But just as the sea will never be free of waves, life will never be free of hardship. The wise man knows this and does not waste time in denial. He knows that every man will face storms, and so he prepares, training his mind as a sailor strengthens his vessel. He does not wait for suffering to arrive before learning to endure it. He makes himself ready long before it comes. The weak man hopes for calm waters, never building the strength to face the storm when it inevitably arrives. He clings to comfort, avoiding anything that tests him, but in doing so, he makes himself fragile. When hardship comes, he is unprepared, and so he breaks. He does not understand that pain is not the cause of his suffering, his weakness is. The wise man, in contrast, welcomes challenges, knowing they are the source of his strength. He does not complain when adversity strikes, because he has already trained himself to endure it. He has built his ship well, and so when the storm comes, he remains afloat. The difference between suffering and power is not the presence or absence of hardship, but how one responds to it. The same storm that drowns one man strengthens another. The same difficulty that crushes one person makes another unbreakable. The wise man understands that his circumstances do not define him, his reaction to them does. He does not allow external forces to dictate his inner state. No matter how fierce the winds, he remains steady, his mind unmoved by what is beyond his control. Life does not spare any man from hardship, but it does offer a choice, to be mastered by suffering or to master oneself through it. The wise man chooses the latter. He does not hope for an easier life, but for the wisdom and strength to face whatever comes. He does not waste time resenting pain, for he knows that within it lies the opportunity to grow. The storm is not his enemy, it is his test. He does not beg for safety, he makes himself strong. And when others fall, he stands, not because he was spared hardship, but because he prepared himself to endure it. Pain is not an enemy, it is a tutor. The weak man sees pain as something to be feared, something to escape at all costs. He resists it, curses it, and believes it to be a punishment. But the wise man understands that pain is one of the greatest teachers, shaping the soul just as fire refines metal. He does not seek to avoid it but to learn from it. He knows that pain, when met with the right mind, does not destroy, it strengthens. There is no growth without struggle, no wisdom without hardship. The body becomes strong through resistance, just as the mind becomes resilient through adversity. A man who avoids difficulty does not remain safe, he remains weak. He does not grow in courage, patience, or endurance. He remains fragile, untested, unprepared for the realities of life. But the man who embraces pain as a teacher gains something invaluable. He becomes tempered, capable of withstanding what would break others. He does not merely survive suffering, he is made greater by it. Pain exposes weakness. It reveals where one is lacking, where one has room to grow. The man who listens to pain learns about himself in ways comfort could never teach. He sees where he is impatient, where he is undisciplined, where he has placed too much value on things that can be taken from him. Instead of resenting this, he is grateful, for he now knows where he must work to become stronger. Just as the sculptor removes excess stone to reveal the form within, pain removes what is unnecessary, leaving behind only what is essential. The fool believes pain is unfair, that it serves no purpose. He asks why he must suffer, as if life owes him an existence free from hardship. But the wise man knows that life is not meant to be easy. He does not see pain as an injustice, but as a natural part of the human experience. He does not fight against it but works with it, using it as a means to refine his character. He does not say, "Why is this happening to me?" but instead, "What can this teach me?" The difference is everything. One approach leads to resentment and weakness, the other leads to strength and wisdom. A soldier does not curse the trials of training, for he knows they prepare him for battle. A craftsman does not complain when his hands ache, for he knows they are becoming skilled. The wise man treats pain the same way. He does not see it as an enemy to be avoided but as a force that shapes him into something greater. He does not wish for a life without struggle, for he knows that would be a life without progress. He welcomes the lessons pain brings, knowing that through them, he becomes unbreakable. True power is refusing to be mastered by suffering. The weak man believes power lies in control over others, in wealth, in status, in the ability to command. But these things are fragile, easily lost, and dependent on fortune. The Stoic knows that true power is not found in external things but within the self. It is not the avoidance of suffering that makes a man strong, but his ability to endure it without being broken. He does not allow pain to rule him, does not let hardship dictate his actions or thoughts. He remains master of himself. No matter what befalls him, suffering is unavoidable. No man, no matter how fortunate, will pass through life without pain. Illness will come, loss will strike, betrayal will wound, the body will weaken with age, and all that is loved will one day be taken. If power depended on controlling these things, then no man would ever truly be strong. But the Stoic understands that while he cannot control what happens to him, he can always control how he responds. Pain is only suffering if it is allowed to be. Hardship only destroys those who submit to it. The man who refuses to be mastered by suffering remains unshaken, no matter what he endures. The mind is sovereign. No external force has power over it unless it is given. The body may be injured, fortune may turn, loved ones may be lost, but the mind remains free. The wise man protects this freedom fiercely, guarding it against despair, fear, and weakness. He does not allow his thoughts to be dictated by suffering. He does not dwell in self-pity, does not curse his fate. He acknowledges pain, feels it, but does not let it rule him. He knows that hardship is a test, an opportunity to prove his strength. He does not surrender to it. He masters it. It is not the absence of pain that makes a man powerful, but his ability to bear it without losing himself. The soldier does not become great by avoiding battle, but by facing it without fear. The philosopher does not become wise by escaping hardship, but by using it to deepen his understanding. The strongest men in history were not those who never suffered, but those who endured suffering without allowing it to define them. The Stoic does not seek an easy life, he seeks mastery over himself, and in that mastery, he finds a power that cannot be taken away. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. The man who understands this does not waste time resisting what cannot be changed. He does not allow external circumstances to break his spirit. He takes every hardship, every loss, every moment of suffering, and turns it into a source of strength. He does not seek to avoid difficulty but to rise above it. In doing so, he becomes truly powerful, for nothing in the world can master the man who refuses to be ruled by suffering.